He was left at the altar and married a homeless woman. What happens next? Liam Mitchell felt the world crashing down around him when Chelsea Taylor bolted up the church aisle, leaving her bridal veil and 200 stunned guests in absolute silence. His legs trembled, and he tightly clutched the bouquet of white roses he was supposed to hand to the woman he loved. It was then that a soft voice beside him made him turn his head. A woman with disheveled brown hair and worn clothes stood right next to the altar, as if she had materialized out of thin air. "Sir, I saw what happened," she said quietly, reaching a hand out to him. "No one should be left alone at a moment like this." Liam stared at her, uncomprehending. The woman looked to be about 35. She had deep brown eyes that conveyed an ancient sadness, yet also a strength he couldn't explain. Her clothes were clean but clearly worn by time, a small, slightly holed brown woolen jumper and a dark skirt that had seen better days. "Who are you?" he asked, still holding the flowers. "My name is Grace O'Connell. I was sheltering from the rain at the back of the church when I saw your fiancé." She paused, searching for the right words. When I saw her leave, Father Michael, a middle-aged, gray-haired man, remained motionless behind the altar. The guests were whispering amongst themselves, some already getting up to leave. Liam's mother, Mrs. Helen Mitchell, was being supported by two friends, clearly in shock. "Grace," Liam repeated the name as if testing the sound of it. "Do you think I should go after her?" "Only you can decide that," Grace replied calmly. "But I can stay here with you until you decide what to do. No one should face this alone." Liam felt a strange sensation in his chest. It wasn't love or passion. It was a feeling of profound understanding, as if this woman understood what he was feeling without needing an explanation. He looked at the guests, at the expensive flowers scattered around the altar, at the whole charade of happiness that had cost him a fortune. "You know what, Grace?" he said, still gripping the bouquet. "Chelsea left me here in front of everyone. She humiliated me in the worst possible way. I understand your pain," Grace whispered. "No, you don't understand." Liam spoke louder, causing some guests to look their way. "I planned this ceremony for a year. I spent the equivalent of a small apartment deposit just on the flowers, and she just ran out of here like I was a monster." Grace remained silent, just listening. There was something about her presence that calmed Liam, even amidst the chaos of emotions. "Father Michael," Liam called, causing the priest to approach. "My son, perhaps it's best to leave this conversation for another time," the father gently suggested. "No, Father, I have a question to ask." Liam looked at Grace, then at the priest. "If I decided to marry this woman here, right now, would it be possible?" The guest's murmur instantly intensified. Mrs. Mitchell shrieked, "Liam, have you gone mad, son?" The father tried to intervene. "A decision like this can't be made on impulse." "Why not?" Liam asked, his voice echoing in the church. "Chelsea made her decision on impulse. Why can't I make mine?" Grace looked at him in surprise. "Mr. Mitchell, you don't even know me. I'm just a person who happened to be here by chance." "And Chelsea?" he replied with bitterness in his voice. "I thought I knew her after 3 years of engagement. I thought she loved me. But look where we are." The guests began to stir more restlessly. Some were already leaving the church. Others were taking photos with their phones, probably to post on social media. The situation was quickly turning into a spectacle. "Grace, may I ask you a personal question?" Liam said. "Yes. Do you have any commitments? Are you married?" "No, Mr. Mitchell, I'm a widow." "Then, will you marry me, right now, in front of all these people?" The silence that followed was absolute. Even the whispers ceased. Grace looked at him for long seconds. "Why would you do that?" she asked. "Because I'm tired of being humiliated, because I want to show everyone that Liam Mitchell doesn't stay down when someone knocks him over. And because," he paused, searching for the words, "because you were the only person in this church who cared about what I was feeling." Grace looked around, seeing dozens of eyes fixed on her. She saw well-dressed people, expensive jewelry, imported perfumes, and then she looked at her own simple clothing. "Mr. Mitchell, are you sure? I'm not like these people here. I don't have money, I don't have a rich family, I have nothing to offer." "And I do," he laughed bitterly. "I have money, I have a company, I have a big house. But today I discovered that I don't have the love of the woman I was going to marry, so perhaps it's time to try something different." Mrs. Mitchell approached, supported by her two friends. "Liam, my son, you're in shock. Let's go home. You need to rest." "No, Mum. I'm getting married today. Everything is paid for. The guests are here, the father is ready. Only the bride has changed. But son, You don't even know this person? I didn't know Chelsea either, apparently, Liam replied dryly. Grace gently touched his arm. Mr. Mitchell, perhaps your mother is right. You are going through a very difficult time. Grace, let me ask you one thing. He turned completely towards her. Do you believe in fate? I believe things happen for a reason. Then perhaps the reason Chelsea ran away was so that I could find you here. Father Michael approached again. My son, if you are truly sure about this decision, we would need some identification from the young lady, and she would have to publicly consent. Liam looked Grace in the eyes. Grace, will you marry me? Not for love, not for money, but as an act of kindness from one person to another. Grace remained silent for a few more seconds. Then, surprising everyone, including herself, she replied, I accept. The uproar in the church was instantaneous. People shouted, others tried to leave. Photographers' flashes fired non-stop. Mrs. Mitchell fainted in the arms of her friends. Liam's business associate, Andrew Andy Thompson, tried to approach to intervene, but Liam motioned for him to stop. Grace, do you have your documents with you? Yes, Mr. Mitchell. I always keep them in my bag. She opened a small, worn handbag, taking out a driver's license and a birth certificate. The documents were well preserved, kept in a clear plastic sleeve. Father Michael took the papers and examined them. Grace O'Connell, 34 years old, originally from Newcastle, NSW, widow. Is that correct? It is, Father. Very well. If both of you are absolutely sure, we can proceed. But I need you to know that this is a decision that cannot be easily undone. I'm sure, Liam said firmly. Me too, Grace confirmed. Her voice was barely a whisper, but clear enough for everyone to hear. The ceremony continued amidst an almost palpable tension. Father Michael, despite the unusual situation, conducted the rites with due solemnity. When it came time for the vows, Liam surprised everyone. Grace, I promise to be an honest husband to you. I promise to respect your history and treat you with the dignity every human being deserves. I promise that even though this marriage started strangely, I will try to ensure it is based on mutual respect and companionship. Grace, visibly moved, replied, Liam, I promise to be a loyal and honest wife. I promise to support you in difficult times and celebrate the good times with you. I promise you will never regret reaching out to me today. When the father asked if there was any impediment to the marriage, a voice screamed from the back of the church. I object! Everyone turned around. It was Chelsea, who had returned, her hair disheveled and her wedding dress wrinkled. Liam, I've come back. I made a terrible mistake, but I've come back. Don't marry her, please. The discomfort in the church reached unbearable levels. Liam looked at Chelsea for long seconds, then at Grace, who remained with her head bowed beside him. Chelsea, he said in a calm voice, you made your decision when you ran out of here. Now I have made mine. But Liam, we love each other. We were together for 3 years. If you had loved me, you wouldn't have abandoned me at the altar in front of 200 people. I panicked. Everyone panics before getting married. Liam shook his head. No, Chelsea. Panic is what I felt when you ran away. You simply decided you didn't want to marry me, and now I have decided to marry Grace. Chelsea looked at Grace with rage. And you? Aren't you ashamed of stealing someone else's fiancé? Grace raised her head for the first time and looked directly into Chelsea's eyes. I didn't steal anyone. When I arrived here, you had already left. Father Michael, Liam interrupted. May we continue? The father, clearly uncomfortable with the whole situation, nodded. By the powers vested in me, I pronounce you husband and wife. Liam, you may kiss the bride. Liam leaned in and gave a chaste kiss on Grace's cheek. It was not a kiss of love, but a kiss of respect and gratitude. The guests began to leave quickly, some clearly shocked, others fascinated by the drama they had just witnessed. Chelsea ran out again, this time in tears. Dear listener, if you are enjoying the story, please hit the like button and, most importantly, subscribe to the channel. That helps us a lot who are just starting out. Now continuing, Liam and Grace remained at the altar for a few minutes. Neither of them knew exactly what to do next. Well, Liam finally said, I guess we're husband and wife now. I guess so, Grace replied with a timid smile. Grace, I need you to know that I expect nothing from you other than companionship. This is not a conventional marriage. I understand, Liam, and I appreciate your honesty. Mrs. Mitchell approached, still supported by her friends, but clearly recovering from the initial shock. Liam, what have you done? Mum, I've married a woman who showed more compassion for me in 10 minutes than Chelsea did in 3 years. But son, you know nothing about her. Then I'll get to know her. That's how a marriage works, isn't it? Two people getting to know each other more every day, Grace addressed Mrs. Mitchell with respect. Mom, I understand your concern for your son. If you like, I can tell you a little about myself. You may speak, Mrs. Mitchell said curtly. My name is Grace O'Connell. I'm 34, and I've been a widow for 2 years. My husband passed away in a work accident. I was a primary school teacher, but I lost my job when the school where I worked closed. After that, I had difficulty finding another job and ended up losing my home because I couldn't pay the mortgage. And how did you get to the church? It was raining very heavily, and the doors were open. I just came into shelter. I didn't imagine I would witness a wedding. Where are you living? Liam asked, realizing he knew nothing about his new wife's current life. Grace hesitated before answering. I have a place to stay. Where, Grace? I think it's better if we talk about this privately. Grace, we're married now. You don't have to be ashamed of anything. I live in a cheap boarding house in the inner west. I share a room with 2 other women. The silence that followed was heavy. Mrs. Mitchell brought her hand to her chest. Heavens above. Mum, don't dramatize, Liam said. Grace, you can collect your things from the boarding house and come home to live. Liam, perhaps it's better if we first talk about how this will work. You're right. How about we go home and talk calmly? Grace looked around the church, which was now almost empty. Only a few cleaning staff were gathering the flowers and tidying the pews. Liam, can I ask you a question? Of course. Do you regret it? Liam thought for a few seconds before answering. It's strange, but no, I don't regret it. And you? Me neither. Perhaps I should, but I don't regret it. They left the church together, followed by Mrs. Mitchell and her friends. Outside, some guests were still talking in small groups, clearly commenting on what had happened. Many were taking photos of the improvised bride and groom. Liam's car, a sleek black European sedan, was parked in front of the church, decorated with ribbons and flowers for the honeymoon that wouldn't happen. Grace stopped when she saw the vehicle. Is this your car? Yes. Why do you ask? I've never ridden in a car like this. Liam opened the passenger door for her, a gesture that made Grace smile for the first time since they met. They spoke little on the way to Liam's house. Grace watched the city through the window while Liam drove in silence, still processing everything that had occurred. Liam, tell me, can I ask how you feel now? Confused, relieved, angry all at the same time. And you? Scared, but hopeful. Hopeful? It's been a long time since anyone was kind to me. What you did today, including me in the ceremony when I was just a stranger, that means a lot to me. Liam looked at her in the rearview mirror. Grace, can I ask you something personal? You can. How did you lose your house? I mean, if you don't mind telling. Grace took a deep breath before answering. When my husband passed away, I discovered he had taken out a loan using the house as collateral. I didn't know about it. He was going through difficulties at work and didn't want to worry me. When I tried to renegotiate the debt, it was already too late. And your relatives couldn't help? My parents passed away when I was young. I don't have siblings. My husband's family blamed me for what happened. They said I should have controlled the household expenses better. They blamed you for the debt their own son incurred? People in grief sometimes look for someone to blame. It's easier than accepting that sometimes bad things just happen. Liam was impressed by the maturity and lack of bitterness in Grace's voice when speaking about people who treated her so poorly. They arrived at a prestigious, secure estate. Grace looked out the windows with curiosity. The houses were enormous, with well-kept gardens and imported cars in the driveways. You live here? Yes. House number 15. They stopped in front of a 2-story house with a large garden and a fountain in the center. Grace got out of the car and looked around with obvious discomfort. Liam, I don't belong in this place. For now, this is your place. We're married. Remember? They entered through the main door. Grace was impressed by the marble-floored foyer and a crystal chandelier in the high ceiling. Wow. A woman of about 50 approached. It was Marisa, the housekeeper who had worked for Liam for over 10 years. Mr. Mitchell, how was the wedding? Miss Taylor didn't come? Liam looked at Grace. Marisa, this is Grace, my wife. Marisa looked from Liam to Grace, then back to Liam, clearly confused. Your wife? But what about Miss Taylor? There was a change of plans. Grace and I got married today. She will be living here with us. Marisa tried to hide her surprise but didn't quite manage it. Of course, Mr. Mitchell. Welcome, Mrs. Mitchell. Shall I prepare the master bedroom? Actually, Liam interrupted. Prepare the guest room for Grace. We're going to discuss the living arrangements. Grace was visibly relieved by this information. Very well, sir. And dinner? I had prepared something special for you and Miss Taylor. Serve what you prepared. I'm sure Grace will like it anyway. Marissa withdrew, but not without throwing a few more curious glances at Grace. Liam showed Grace the house. It had 12 rooms, including a library, a study, 4 bedrooms, and a games room. Grace walked in silence, clearly impressed. This is the room Marissa is preparing for you, Liam said, opening the door to a spacious room with a double bed, TV, built-in wardrobe, and private bathroom. Liam, this is bigger than the apartment where I lived with my husband. You can relax. This is your home now. Grace sat on the edge of the bed and looked at her hands. Liam, I need to tell you something. Tell me. I don't have adequate clothes to live in a house like this. In fact, I only have the clothes I'm wearing and 2 other changes in the boarding house. We can sort that out tomorrow. We'll go shopping. I can't accept you spending money on me. Grace, we're married. Husband and wife share everything, including financial responsibilities. But this isn't a real marriage. Liam sat in an armchair opposite the bed. Grace, it may not have been a planned marriage, but it is real. We signed papers. We made vows in front of a father and 200 people. It's as real as any other marriage. So how are we going to make this work? By being honest with each other, respecting each other's boundaries, and seeing where this takes us. At that moment, Marissa knocked on the door. Mr. Mitchell, dinner is served. Thank you, Marissa. We'll be down shortly. When they were alone again, Grace asked, Liam, can I know why you really did this? The honest truth, not what you said in the church. Liam thought carefully before answering. You know, Grace, I spent my whole life trying to do everything right. I studied at the best schools. I built a successful company. I chose a bride from high society. And in the end, none of that mattered. The woman I loved abandoned me at the most important moment of my life. And that led you to marry a stranger? It led me to realize that perhaps I was living the life others expected of me, not the life I truly wanted. When you reached out to me in the church, it was the first genuine gesture of kindness I received on that terrible day. But that doesn't justify a marriage. Maybe not. But do you know what impressed me most about you? What? You didn't try to comfort me with empty words. You didn't say everything was going to be all right or that it was better to find out now. You just offered your presence. Sometimes that's all a person needs. Grace smiled, the first time Liam had seen a true smile on her face. My husband used to say that sometimes words get in the way more than they help. He was a wise man. He was. I miss him a lot. What was his name? Robbie O'Connell. He worked at a manufacturing plant. He was the most honest man I've ever known. Tell me more about him. Grace stood up and walked to the room's window. He dreamt of building a house in the countryside, near where he was born. He wanted to have a veggie patch, raise chickens. He always said the big city wasn't a place to raise a family. Did you want to have children? We did. We tried for several years, but we couldn't. We had some tests, but we never discovered exactly what the problem was. Robbie always said if it was meant to happen, it would happen at the right time. And you, do you regret not having children? Very much, especially now that I'm alone. A child would give me a purpose, you know. Liam remained silent for a few seconds. Grace, can I make a suggestion? Go ahead. How about we have dinner and then talk more about our lives? I think we have a lot to learn about each other. I agree. They went down to the dining room. The table was set for 2 with fine china and crystal glasses. Grace was clearly intimidated. Liam, I don't know how to use all these forks and knives. Don't worry. Use the ones that make you feel most comfortable. Marissa served an elaborate dinner grilled barramundi with roasted vegetables and a special salad. Grace ate in silence, clearly savoring every bite. Is it good? Liam asked. It's wonderful. I haven't eaten a meal this good in a long time. Marissa is an excellent cook. Can I ask how long she's worked here? 10 years since I bought this house. And how did she react to today's events? Marissa is very professional. She'll adapt to the situation. After dinner, they moved to the lounge. It was a cozy atmosphere, with leather sofas and a fireplace. Grace sat on the edge of the sofa, still clearly uncomfortable with the luxury around her. Grace, you can relax. This is your home now. Liam, I need to ask you something that might sound strange. Tell me, how do you want me to behave? I mean, in front of others, your friends, your family, how? Behave naturally, but I don't know how to behave in a house like this, with people like that. People like that? Rich people. Important people. I'm a former teacher who lived in a cheap boarding house. I don't have the polish for this kind of life. Liam approached and sat next to her on the sofa. Grace, you have something much more valuable than formal education. You have character. I saw it today in the church. How can you be sure? You don't even know me. Maybe I don't know your complete history, but I know your actions. When you saw a man suffering, your first reaction was to offer help. That says a lot about who you are. Grace looked at her hands again. Liam, can I confess something? Of course. When I agreed to marry you today, it wasn't just out of kindness. It was also out of desperation. Desperation? I've been living in a very difficult situation for 2 years. I couldn't find work. I have no family. I have no prospects. When you offered marriage, I saw an opportunity to have a decent life again. Liam remained silent for a few moments. You are being honest with me. I appreciate that. You're not angry that I was self-interested? Grace, self-interest is not a crime. You were in a desperate situation and saw an opportunity to improve your life. That's human. And you? What was your true motivation? Wounded pride. Anger. A desire to prove something to myself and others. So, neither of us married for the right reasons. Liam smiled. Perhaps the right reasons are a romantic illusion. Maybe successful marriages are built on a foundation of mutual respect and compatibility, not necessarily love at first sight. Do you believe that? I don't know, but I'm willing to find out. Just then the doorbell rang. Liam looked at the clock. It was 9 p.m. He wasn't expecting anyone. Marissa appeared in the lounge. Mr. Mitchell, it's Miss Taylor. She says she urgently needs to speak with you. Liam and Grace looked at each other. Let her in, Liam said. Chelsea entered the lounge, still in her wedding dress, but now with a determined expression on her face. She looked at Grace with barely concealed disdain. Liam, we need to talk alone. Chelsea, Grace is my wife now. Anything you have to say can be said in front of her. Fine, if that's what you want. Chelsea turned to Grace. I hope you know you're getting into a situation you don't understand, Chelsea, Liam said in a firm voice. I will not tolerate you disrespecting Grace in my house. Your house. This house that I helped decorate. This house where we planned to raise our children. The same house you abandoned when you decided to run away from our marriage. I didn't run away, I panicked. And what's the difference? Chelsea approached Liam, completely ignoring Grace. The difference is that panic passes. True love doesn't. Liam, we've loved each other for 3 years. Are you going to throw that away over a tantrum? A tantrum? Liam stood up from the sofa. You left me at the altar in front of 200 guests, and you call my reaction a tantrum? I made a mistake. People make mistakes. Grace also stood up. Perhaps it's better if I go to the room and let you talk. No. Liam gently took her arm. You don't have to leave. Chelsea is the one who needs to understand that decisions have already been made. Liam. Chelsea changed tactics, adopting a softer tone. You know me. You know what I'm like. I'm impulsive. Sometimes I do things without thinking, but you know I love you. If you loved me, Chelsea, you wouldn't have humiliated me like that. And if you loved me, you wouldn't have married the first person who crossed your path. The comment hurt both Liam and Grace. Grace lowered her head, clearly wounded by the remark. Chelsea, Liam said, his voice now cold. I think it's best if you leave. Liam, please, we can annul this marriage. It was done under emotional duress. Any good lawyer can have it annulled. I don't want to annul it. Why? You don't even know this woman. And apparently, I didn't know you either. Chelsea looked from Liam to Grace, realizing she wasn't achieving her goal. Fine. But when you get tired of this game, when you realize the mistake you made, I won't be available anymore. I understand, Liam said. Any last words? You're making the biggest mistake of your life. Maybe, but it's my mistake to make. Chelsea left the lounge without saying goodbye, slamming the door shut. The sound echoed through the house, leaving an awkward silence. Grace, are you all right? She's not wrong, Grace said quietly. About what? You don't even know me, and I don't belong in this world. Grace, enough with that. Liam, maybe she's right about the annulment. Maybe you should consider it. Liam approached Grace and took her hands. Grace, look at me. She looked up. I know this is all confusing and scary. It is for me too. But one thing I do know. You were kinder to me today than Chelsea was in 3 years of our relationship. But that's no basis for a marriage. Maybe it's a better basis than blind passion. Grace, do you want to try to make this work? I don't know how. Neither do I. But we can learn together. Grace looked around the luxurious lounge, then back at Liam. Okay, we'll try. The next morning, Grace woke up in silk sheets for the first time in her life. For a few seconds, She couldn't remember where she was. Then, the memories of the previous day came flooding back. She was married to a man she met less than 24 hours ago. She got up and looked out the window. The garden was even more beautiful in the morning sun. There were rose bushes, a working fountain, and a perfect lawn. A gentle knock on the door made her turn. "Mrs. Mitchell, it's Marissa. May I come in?" "Please come in." Marissa entered carrying a tray with coffee, pastries, fruit, and juice. "I thought you might want to have breakfast in your room today, considering the circumstances." "Thank you very much, Marissa, but can I ask you something?" "Of course, ma'am. What do you think of this whole situation?" Marissa placed the tray on a table near the window and turned to Grace. "May I speak frankly, please?" "Please do. I've worked for Mr. Mitchell for 10 years. I've seen him date several women, including Miss Taylor. I never saw any of them truly care about him as a person. And you think I care? I think you were the only one who approached him yesterday when he needed it most. That counts for a lot. Marissa, can I ask you a more personal question?" "You can." "Are you married?" "I'm a widow. Like you, ma'am. My husband passed away 5 years ago." "And how did you cope with that?" "One day at a time, and accepting help when it showed up, like the help Liam offered me." "Exactly." Grace had coffee, showered, and put on one of the 2 outfits she had brought from the boarding house, a worn denim skirt and a simple blue top. She went downstairs to find Liam, who was in the office on the phone. He motioned for her to come in and sit down. "No, Carl, it wasn't crazy," he was saying into the phone. "It was a conscious decision. I know it seems strange. No, I'm not going to annul the marriage. Carl, we've been partners for 10 years. You have to trust my judgment." "Okay, we'll talk more on Monday." He hung up and looked at Grace. "Good morning. Did you sleep well?" "Yes, thank you." "And you?" "I was just talking to my business partner. News of our marriage is already circulating." "Is that a problem?" "It could be. We have some conservative clients who might feel uncomfortable with the situation." "Liam, if this is going to hurt your business, maybe it's better we consider the annulment." "No, if someone has a problem with my personal decisions, maybe they're not the right people to do business with." Grace was impressed by the determination in his voice. "Are you sure?" "I am, Grace. I talked to Marissa about going shopping today. You need clothes, and I need to get out of the house to clear my head." "Liam, I already told you I can't accept you spending money on me, and I've already explained that we're married. Besides," he smiled, "you can't walk around always wearing the same 2 outfits. People will talk." "People are already talking. Then let's give them more to talk about." They left the house around 10 am. Liam drove to a shopping center in the most exclusive part of the city. Grace felt clearly intimidated. "Liam, this place looks very expensive. Don't worry about it." They entered an elegant women's clothing store. The saleswoman, a young, well-dressed woman, looked Grace up and down with a forced smile. "Can I help you?" "My wife needs a complete wardrobe," Liam said naturally. The saleswoman looked again at Grace, clearly confused by the disparity between her simple clothes and Liam's request. "What kind of clothing are you looking for?" "Everything. Casual wear, formal wear, shoes, accessories." Grace took Liam's arm. "This is too much. Grace, trust me." They spent the next 2 hours trying on clothes. Grace felt awkward with all the attention but gradually relaxed. Liam showed good taste, choosing elegant but not extravagant pieces. Dear listener, if you are enjoying the story, please hit the like button and, most importantly, subscribe to the channel. That helps us a lot who are just starting out. Now continuing. During the shopping trip, Grace was surprised by Liam's patience and kindness. He paid attention to her preferences, respected when she rejected an item, and never made her feel pressured. "Liam, can I ask why you are doing all this?" "Doing what?" "Being so kind to me, spending so much money." "Grace, if we're going to make this marriage work, we need you to feel comfortable in my world, and that includes appropriate clothes. But what if it doesn't work out? You will have spent all that money in vain." Liam stopped looking at the clothes and turned to her. "Grace, can you stop looking for reasons for this marriage to fail?" "I'm not looking for reasons." "Yes, you are. Since yesterday, all you talk about is annulment, not belonging in my world, everything that can go wrong." Grace was silent for a few seconds. "You're right. I'm sorry. Why do you do that?" "Because I'm scared." "Scared of what?" "Of getting used to all this and then losing it, of falling in love with you and discovering that for you, I'm just an experiment." Grace's brutal honesty took Liam by surprise. "Grace, I know I'm just an emotional refugee who appeared in your life in a moment of crisis. I know that when you recover from what Chelsea did, you might realize you don't need me anymore. And if I tell you that won't happen, You can't promise that. No one can. Liam thought carefully before responding. You're right. I can't promise I'll always need you, but I can promise I will be honest about my feelings. If I ever want to leave this marriage, I will talk to you openly. And if I want to leave, the same. Total honesty. Grace extended her hand. Then we have an agreement. Total honesty, no matter what. Agreed. They shook hands in the middle of the store, sealing an agreement that was much more serious than the vows they had made in the church. They returned home with several shopping bags. Grace was visibly more relaxed, laughing at some jokes Liam made about the saleswomen in the store. Liam, can I confess something? Of course. It's been a long time since I felt so normal. Normal? Going out shopping for clothes, talking about everyday things, laughing. For the past 2 years, my life was just survival. I forgot what it feels like to be an ordinary person. And how do you feel now? Like it's possible to have a life again. At home, Grace went up to the room to organize the new clothes. Marissa helped her, clearly impressed with the amount of clothing. Mrs. Mitchell, may I tell you something? You can, Marissa. You look like a completely different person today. Different how? Lighter. Yesterday, you were tense, scared. Today, you're more yourself, if that makes sense. Yes, it does. I think I'm starting to believe that maybe this can work. May I give you a piece of advice? Please, Mr. Mitchell is a good man, but he was very hurt yesterday. He's going to need time to fully trust anyone again. I understand. And you were also hurt by life. You two will need to be patient with each other. Marissa, can I ask if you are married? I'm a widow like you, ma'am. My husband passed away 5 years ago. And how did you deal with that? One day at a time, and accepting help when it showed up, like the help Liam offered me. Exactly. That night, Liam and Grace had dinner together again. The conversation was more natural, without the tension of the previous day. Grace, can I ask you about your plans? Plans for the future, professionally, personally. Honestly, I haven't made plans for 2 years. Surviving from one day to the next was difficult enough. But now you can make plans again. I can. What if all this is temporary? Grace, remember our agreement about honesty? I remember. Then I'll be honest. I don't know if this marriage will last forever, but I do know that while it lasts, I want you to be happy and fulfilled. And how can I be happy and fulfilled? By doing the things you enjoy. You said you were a teacher. Do you miss teaching? Very much. It was what I loved most to do. Then go back to teaching. Liam, it's not that simple. I was out of the job market for 2 years. I lost contacts, references. But you didn't lose the knowledge or the passion. Grace looked thoughtful. Would it be possible? Of course. We can start slowly. Maybe private tutoring. Then who knows? In a school. For the first time since they met, Grace smiled with her eyes. You know what, Liam? I think yesterday you may have saved more than my marriage. How so? You may have saved my life. The following days brought a surprisingly comfortable routine. Grace woke up early, had coffee with Liam, and while he worked, she explored the house and gardens. In the afternoon, they talked about their past lives, discovering unexpected affinities. Liam discovered that Grace had a subtle sense of humor and a unique perspective on life. Grace discovered that Liam, behind the business facade, was a sensitive man who genuinely cared about the people around him. On the 3rd day after the wedding, Grace had an idea. Liam, can I suggest something? Of course. How about we do something neither of us has ever done before? Like what? I don't know. Something that's ours, that has no connection to our pasts. Liam thought for a moment. How about we learn to cook together? I can't cook. I can make instant noodles and sandwiches. And you? I used to cook well, but I haven't had a proper kitchen for 2 years. Then let's rediscover it together. They spent the afternoon in the kitchen under the amused supervision of Marissa, trying to make a simple dinner. The result was a culinary disaster, but they laughed more in those 3 hours than they had in years. Liam, can I make an observation? Tell me, you look completely different when you're relaxed. Different how? Younger, more human. Human? Yesterday in the store, you were the successful businessman. Now, with flour on your face and trying to figure out what a whisk is for, you're just Liam. And which version do you prefer? This one. That night, sitting in the lounge after the dinner Marissa discreetly remade, they talked about deeper issues. Grace, can I ask what it was like to lose your husband? Do you really want to know? If you want to tell me. Grace took a deep breath. It was a Tuesday morning. Robbie left for work as always. He kissed me on the forehead as always. He said he loved me as always. At 2 p.m., I got a call saying there had been an accident at the factory. What kind of accident? A heavy piece of machinery came loose from a crane. He was in the wrong place at the wrong time. He died instantly. I'm so sorry. What hurt me most wasn't even the loss itself. It was the speed with which everything changed. In the morning, I was a happy wife. In the afternoon, I was a widow. In the morning, I had an organized life. A few weeks later, I was losing the house. And how did you handle all that? At first, I didn't handle it. I fell into depression. I stopped eating. Stopped taking care of myself. It was the neighbors who forced me to react when they saw I was truly unwell. And reacting meant what? Finding work, trying to reorganize my financial life, accepting that Robbie wasn't coming back. Was it hard to accept? Incredibly so. Robbie was one of those people who make you feel secure in the world. Without him, everything became terrifying. Liam remained silent for a few moments. Grace, can I tell you something that might sound strange? You can. I think Robbie would be happy to know you found someone who cares about you. How can you be sure? The way you talk about him, it's clear he loved you more than anything. And when you truly love someone, you want that person to be happy, even if it's without you. Grace stood up and walked to the window. Liam, can I ask you about Chelsea? Go ahead. Do you still love her? Liam thought carefully before answering. I think I loved the idea of who I thought she was. But after what happened, I realize maybe I never knew the real person. What do you mean? Chelsea was always very theatrical, always playing a role, the perfect fiancée, the ideal wife I expected to have. Now I see I never saw her being just herself. And that bothers you? A lot. How can you love someone you don't really know? Grace turned to him. Is that why you want total honesty between us? Exactly. If this marriage is going to work, it has to be based on who we really are, not who we think the other person wants us to be. Then, can I be honest about something? Please. I'm starting to like you a lot, and that scares me. Why? Because I don't want to replace Robbie. I want you to be yourself, not an improved version of him. And I don't want you to be an improved version of Chelsea. They looked at each other for long seconds, both understanding they had reached a crucial moment in the relationship. Liam, what do we do now? We keep being honest and see where it takes us, even if it takes us to scary places? Especially if it takes us to scary places. The next morning, Grace woke up with a new determination. She went downstairs for breakfast and found Liam reading the newspaper. Good morning. Good morning. Did you sleep well? Yes. Liam, I've made a decision. What is it? I'm going to look for work. Liam put down the newspaper and looked at her. Are you sure? Yes. You were right yesterday. I need to go back to doing the things that make me happy, and teaching is one of them. Where do you want to start? Private tutoring, as you suggested, for children with difficulties at school. Can I help with anything? Could I borrow your computer to make some advertisements? Of course. But Grace, you don't need to work out of economic necessity. You can choose exactly what you want to do. That's precisely why I want to work to make a difference, not out of obligation. They spent the morning creating advertisements for private tutoring. Grace showed a surprising aptitude for technology despite her 2 years away. Liam, can I suggest something else? Tell me. How about we invite some of your friends over for dinner? I want to meet the important people in your life. Liam hesitated. Grace, my friends can be a bit challenging. Challenging how? They have very strong opinions about our marriage. Negative opinions? Let's just say they think I went mad. And do you care about their opinion? I shouldn't, but I do a bit. Liam, if we're going to be a real couple, sooner or later, I have to meet your mates. You're right. I'll organize a dinner for the weekend. On Saturday night, 3 couples arrived for dinner. Grace had spent the day preparing, choosing an elegant but not extravagant dress, fixing her hair, and practicing possible conversations. Relax, Liam said, taking her hand. Just be yourself. And if they don't like me? If they don't like you, that's their problem, not yours. The guests were introduced. Andrew Thompson and his wife Danielle, Liam's business associates, Fergus and Penelope, lifelong friends, and Alex and Isabel, also from the business circle. The first few hours were tense. Grace felt the curious glances and some whispered comments, but gradually, her naturalness and intelligence began to impress. During dinner, Penelope asked a direct question. Grace, how exactly did you two meet? Grace looked at Liam, who nodded encouragingly. We met in the church where Liam was supposed to marry Chelsea. And how did that lead to you two getting married? When I saw Liam alone at the altar, I felt I had to offer some kind of support. One thing led to another. Danielle, Andrew Thompson's wife, couldn't contain herself. But you got married on the same day. Don't you think that was very rushed? Grace took a deep breath before responding. It was rushed, yes, but sometimes the most important decisions in life are made in moments of crisis. And, do you think it can work? Fergus asked. This time, it was Liam who responded. Fergus, Chelsea and I were engaged for 3 years, and it didn't work. Grace and I got married on day 1, and so far, we're building something solid. Perhaps time isn't the most important factor. But Liam, Isabel intervened. Don't you think marriage needs a foundation? Compatibility? Love? Grace surprised herself by responding firmly. Love can be built, compatibility can be discovered, the foundation can be established, but respect and honesty must be present from the start. And do you have respect and honesty? Andrew Thompson asked. Yes, Liam and Grace replied almost simultaneously, surprising themselves. The rest of the evening passed more naturally. Liam's friends began to see Grace as an interesting person in her own right, not just a curiosity. After the guests left, Liam and Grace tidied the lounge together. How do you think it went? Grace asked. Better than I expected. You handled yourself brilliantly. They were surprised, weren't they? Yes, but in a good way. Danielle told me in the kitchen that you are much more interesting than she expected. And Andrew Thompson looked skeptical. Andrew Thompson is skeptical about everything, but I saw him laughing at your jokes about education. Grace smiled. You know what I liked most about the night? What? How you defended me. When Isabel suggested that love was needed from the start, you didn't hesitate to support me. Of course I supported you. We're a team now. A team? Husband and wife, we have to support each other. Grace stopped drying the dishes and looked at Liam. Do you really believe that? Yes, I believe it. Grace, in these 2 weeks, you've become more important to me than I imagined possible. How so? I wake up thinking about how you're feeling during the day. I look forward to coming home and talking to you at night. I like knowing you're safe in the next room. Liam, I'm not declaring love, Grace. I'm declaring affection, concern, genuine interest in your happiness. And is that enough for a marriage? I don't know, but it's a much better start than I had with Chelsea. Grace approached him. Can I confess something? Always. I'm starting to feel at home here in this house, here with you. They hugged for the first time since the wedding. It was not a romantic embrace, but a hug between two people who recognize they are building something important together. The following weeks brought significant changes. Grace started giving private lessons and quickly built a reputation as an exceptional teacher. Liam adjusted his routine to support her work, sometimes leaving the office early so she could receive students at home. Dear listener, if you are enjoying the story, please hit the like button and, most importantly, subscribe to the channel. That helps us a lot who are just starting out. Now continuing. A month after the marriage, they faced their first major challenge. Chelsea reappeared, but this time with a different proposal. Liam, we need to talk business. Grace was in the lounge when Chelsea arrived. This time, she didn't leave. Chelsea, if it's about business, you can talk in front of my wife. Fine, Liam. You know my father owns the Harrington Group, a construction firm. I know. He's planning a major project and wanted your company as a partner, but he has reservations about your current personal situation. Liam stood up from the armchair. My personal situation has nothing to do with my business. For my father, it does. He thinks you're not showing good judgment, and what does he propose? That you prove it was a temporary mistake. That you annul this marriage and maybe reconsider our relationship. Grace felt her stomach clench but remained silent. Chelsea, you can tell your father that I don't mix personal life with business. If he doesn't want to work with me because of my personal choices, that's his problem. Liam, it's a $5 million AUD contract. So what? $5 million, Liam. You're going to throw that away because of her? Chelsea pointed at Grace disrespectfully. Liam walked over to Grace and took her hand. Chelsea, you can tell your father that some values are priceless. After Chelsea left, Grace remained silent for long minutes. Grace, what are you thinking? That you just lost $5 million AUD because of me. And that's not right. Why? Because that money could change your life, expand your businesses. Liam knelt in front of the armchair where Grace was sitting. Grace, look at me. She looked up. Money can always be recovered, but the trust, the respect, the affection we're building that can't be bought. But $5 million, Grace, if I accept this blackmail now, what guarantee do I have that others won't appear? Today it's $5 million, Tomorrow it could be $10 million. And then, where does it end? But, no buts. You are more important than any contract. Even if I'm not a real wife? Grace, stop putting yourself down. You are my wife. Legally, emotionally, and socially. But not in the complete sense. Liam paused to think before responding. What do you mean by complete sense? You know what I mean, Liam. We've been married for a month. We're building a solid foundation of respect and affection. Physical intimacy will arrive naturally when we both feel ready. And if we never feel ready, then we will have a marriage based on companionship and affection. There are people who live very happy marriages that way. Would you be satisfied with that, Grace? I would be satisfied with any kind of relationship that makes us happy and fulfilled. That night, for the first time, they spoke openly about the physical aspect of the marriage. Liam, can I ask an intimate question? You can. Do you feel a physical attraction to me? Liam was clearly uncomfortable with the question. Grace, remember our agreement about honesty? I remember. Then be honest. Yes, I feel an attraction to you. Since when? Little by little. At first, you were a person I respected and felt gratitude for, but as the days went by, I started to notice other things. What other things? Your smile when you're teaching, the way you treat Marissa with kindness, your intelligence in the conversations we have, your strength in rebuilding your life. And that sparks attraction? For me, yes. True attraction comes from the complete person, not just physical appearance. And you? Liam asked. Do you feel any kind of attraction to me? Grace took a long time to answer. I do, and I feel guilty about it. Guilty? Why? Because I feel like I'm betraying Robbie's memory. Grace, Robbie passed away. You have the right to move forward. Rationally, I know that. Emotionally, it's harder. And what can we do to make you feel more comfortable? Time, patience, and keep building our relationship at a natural pace. How much time do you need? I don't know. A few months? A year? I might never feel completely ready. And if you never feel ready, then we'll have to decide if that's a problem or not. For me, it's not a problem, Liam said without hesitation. How can you be so sure? Because what I value most in our relationship isn't the physical, it's the emotional. 2 months after the wedding, Grace received a call that would change everything. It was from a private school that had seen her tutoring advertisements. Mrs. O'Connell, I'm the principal of La Esperanza School. We heard about your tutoring work and are impressed with the results your students have shown. Thank you. We would like to offer you a position as a pedagogical coordinator. It's a school for children from disadvantaged families, but with a differentiated educational focus. Grace was speechless for a few seconds. Can I think about it? Of course. But we would like you to visit the school before deciding. Grace visited the school the next morning. It was a simple, well-maintained building, with children of all ages running through the corridors. The principal, Sister Teresa, a woman of 60 with contagious energy, showed her the facilities. Our philosophy is that every child can learn, regardless of the family's socioeconomic situation. And how do you manage to keep the school running? Donations, fundraisers, and a lot of volunteer work. It's not easy, but it is rewarding. Grace fell in love with the school instantly. The children were affectionate, the teachers dedicated, and there was a sense of purpose in everything they did. Sister Teresa, may I ask why you chose me? Because we heard you have a gift for working with children who have difficulties, and because one of your private students is the daughter of one of our former teachers. She told us wonders about your methods. And what exactly would my job be? To coordinate the pedagogical curriculum, train the teachers, and help develop new teaching methods. The salary is very low, Sister Teresa admitted, but the work is very rewarding. Grace left the school knowing she wanted to accept the position, but first, she needed to talk to Liam. Liam, I need to tell you about an opportunity that came up. Tell me. Grace explained the school offer. Liam listened attentively. And you want to accept? Very much, but the salary is really low. Grace, you don't need to worry about money. Do what makes you happy. But I want to contribute financially to the household. Then contribute, but don't let money be the deciding factor. Are you sure you don't mind? Grace, in the last 2 months, I've seen you reborn. When you talk about teaching, your eyes shine in a special way. If this opportunity is going to make you happy, I support you completely. Grace accepted the position at La Esperanza School. In the first weeks, she arrived home exhausted but radiant. How was your day? Liam would ask every night. Wonderful. Difficult, but wonderful. Tell me about the kids. And Grace would talk about Carlos, 8, who couldn't read but had a photographic memory. About Maria, 10, who took care of her younger siblings and did her schoolwork in the early hours of the morning. About Miguel, 7, who was hyperactive but a genius at maths. Liam became fascinated with the stories, started asking more specific questions, suggesting ideas, offering practical help. Grace, if the school needs computers, I can donate some I no longer use at the office. Would you do that? Of course. And if they need other materials, I can also help. That's how Liam started to get involved with La Esperanza School. First with material donations, then visiting the school, and finally offering to give talks on entrepreneurship to the older students. Liam, the children love your talks, Grace commented. They're very smart. They ask questions that make me think. Like what? Yesterday, Carlos asked why some people have so much money and others have nothing. I didn't know how to answer satisfactorily. And what did you tell him? That sometimes life is unfair, but that education and effort can change many situations. Good answer. Grace, can I suggest something? Tell me. How about we organize a fundraiser for the school? What kind of event? A charity dinner. I can invite my business contacts. You invite the children's parents, and we make a special night of it. Grace was silent for a few seconds. Liam, that's a wonderful idea, but are you sure? It'll be extra work for you. Grace, working for something you care about is a pleasure, not work. They organized the charity dinner for a Saturday night, a month later. Grace was in charge of the pedagogical program, with presentations from the children. Liam handled the business side, inviting potential donors. In the week of the event, Grace was nervous. What if people don't come? What if we don't raise enough? Grace, relax. We already have confirmation from 50 people, and the main objective isn't just to raise money. What is it then? To show society the wonderful work you do at the school. You're right. On the night of the event, the hotel ballroom was decorated with the children's artwork. There was a choir performance, a play about the environment, and several exhibitions of science projects developed by the students. Grace looked beautiful in a navy blue dress. Liam had specially chosen for the occasion. She circulated among the guests, explaining the projects and telling stories about the children. Mrs. Mitchell, a businessman, approached. I want to congratulate you on the work at the school. Thank you, Mr. Arthur. My company would like to make a regular monthly donation to the school. That would be wonderful. Similar situations occurred all night. People were interested in helping, offering not only money but also time and expertise. By the end of the night, they had raised enough to completely remodel the school library and buy new IT equipment. Liam, I can't believe we did it. We did it, Grace. You did it. I just organized the event. You convinced people. How so? Your passion for what you do is contagious. When you talk about the children, it's impossible not to want to help. Back home, they sat in the lounge to talk about the night. Grace, can I say something that might sound strange? You can. Tonight, I felt more proud to be your husband than of any professional achievement of my own. Grace looked at him in surprise. Why? Because I saw you making a difference in the lives of people who genuinely need it. I saw you using your talents to make the world a little better, Grace. And I realized I want to be a part of this. I want my life to also make a difference, not just accumulate money. What are you saying? I'm saying you didn't just change my personal life. You changed my perspective on what truly matters. Grace stood up and walked to the window. Liam, can I confess something? Always. I'm falling in love with you. The silence that followed was long but not uncomfortable. And how do you feel about that? Liam asked softly, scared, guilty, but also hopeful. Hopeful? That maybe it's possible to love again without betraying the past. Liam approached her. Grace, loving me doesn't diminish the love you felt for Robbie in any way. The human heart has an infinite capacity to love. How can you be so sure? Because I'm falling in love with you too, and that doesn't diminish anything I learned with Chelsea, even though that relationship ended badly. They looked into each other's eyes for long seconds. What do we do now? Grace asked. Whatever we want to do. And if I tell you I want to try to be your wife in every sense? I'd say I want that too. But what if it doesn't work? What if we find out we're compatible as friends, but not as lovers? Then we find out together, without pressure, without rush, at our own pace. Grace moved closer to Liam, and for the first time since the wedding, they kissed. It was not a kiss of desperate passion, but a kiss of growing love and mutual respect. How do you feel? Liam asked. Good. And you? Good too. So, maybe we can continue discovering how we feel. I'd like that very much. The following months were about mutual discovery in every aspect. Grace and Liam developed not only physical intimacy, but a deep partnership in all areas of life. Liam began to get increasingly involved in social projects, inspired by Grace's work. Grace gained confidence in her new life without ceasing to honor her past story. 6 months after the wedding, they faced a crisis when Mrs. Mitchell had health problems and needed to temporarily move into their house. "Grace, my mother can be difficult," Liam warned. "I remember her reaction at the wedding. She still has reservations about our relationship. Then maybe it's an opportunity to show her who I really am." During the 2 weeks, Mrs. Mitchell was in the house. Grace treated her with affection and patience. She brought her coffee in bed, talked about subjects that interested the older woman, and gradually won her respect. "Grace," Mrs. Mitchell said one morning, "can I tell you something?" "You can, Mrs. Mitchell. I was wrong about you." "Wrong how?" "I thought you had married my son for money, but I see how you treat each other, how you care for him, how he smiles when he talks about you. It's true love." "Thank you for saying that. And I want to apologize for the way I received you on the wedding day." "You don't need to apologize. You were protecting your son. That's natural. You are a very wise woman, Grace." "I learned to be through hardship. The best people learn that way." 1 year after the wedding, Grace and Liam organized a party to celebrate. It wasn't a celebration of the date itself, but of the journey they had taken together. Dear listener, if you are enjoying the story, please hit the like button and, most importantly, subscribe to the channel. That helps us a lot who are just starting out. Now continuing. The party was small, intimate, only with the people who truly mattered to them. Liam's family, the household staff, Marissa, Sister Teresa from the school, some of Grace's students, and the friends who had dinner with them months ago. Andrew Thompson made a toast. "A year ago, I thought Liam had gone mad. Today, I recognize he made the wisest decision of his life." Danielle added, "Grace, you not only became a wonderful wife, you made Liam a better person." During the party, Father Michael, who had performed the wedding, approached the couple. "How do you feel after this year?" "Grateful," Grace replied. "Why?" "Because we discovered that sometimes the best marriages don't start with love, but they build love over time." "You built love there?" "We built love, respect, partnership, and something I didn't know existed," Liam said. "What's that?" "The feeling of having found my true soulmate." After the guests left, Grace and Liam walked through the house garden, as they had done on many other nights during that year. "Liam, if we could go back in time, would you still make the same choice?" "Without a doubt." "And you?" "Me too, but for different reasons than I had that day." "What were your reasons that day?" "Desperation, opportunism, hope for a better life." "And what are your reasons today?" "Love. Love for you. Love for the life we built. Love for the person I've become by your side. And you know what the most incredible part of all this is?" "What?" "That our marriage started as a charade and became the most real thing in my life." 2 years after the wedding, Grace discovered she was pregnant. The news was a complete surprise to both of them. "Liam, I need to tell you something." "What is it?" "You look pale. I'm pregnant." Liam was silent for long seconds, processing the information. "How do you feel about it?" he finally asked. "Scared, happy, confused all at the same time." "And how do you feel?" "The same, Grace. I could never get pregnant with Robbie. Doctors never knew exactly why. And now you did it. And now I did it. With you, Grace. This is a miracle. Do you think so?" "I do. I think it's the universe confirming that we made the right decisions." The pregnancy brought even more unity to the couple. Liam proved to be a dedicated father-to-be, accompanying Grace to all medical appointments and reading books on child development. "Grace, can we talk about names?" "Of course. If it's a boy, how about Robbie? In honor of your first husband." Grace started to cry. "Why would you do that?" "Because Robbie was important to you, and important people deserve to be honored. And if it bothers you to have a son named after my ex-husband?" "Grace, Robbie was part of your history. Your history is part of who you are, and I love who you are, including your history. And if it's a girl?" "Hope. In honor of the school where you found your purpose." "Liam, how can you be so perfect?" "I'm not perfect. I'm just a man who learned that true love accepts and celebrates everything that makes the beloved person special." The baby was born on a spring morning. It was a girl, and they named her Hope Roberta, honoring both tributes they had planned. When Grace held her daughter for the first time, she said, "Liam, thank you." "Why?" "For giving me a family again. Thank you for showing me what truly matters in life." 3 years after the wedding, Liam sold his share in the company to dedicate himself completely to social work. He and Grace created a foundation that supported disadvantaged schools across the region. "Don't you miss the old life?" Grace asked, one night while hope slipped between them in bed. "Which part of it? The money, the status, the business life?" "Grace, look around you. I have a wife I love more every day, a healthy and beautiful daughter, a job that makes a difference in the world. What more could I want? I don't know, more money. Money serves to buy security and comfort. I have both. The rest is superfluous. And if Chelsea showed up now, offering you everything you lost? I'd tell her I already have everything I ever wanted. I just didn't know it before." On the morning of their 4th wedding anniversary, Grace woke up to Liam bringing her coffee in bed, as he did every Sunday morning. "Good morning, my love." "Good morning. Where's Hope?" "Still sleeping. I took advantage of us having a few minutes alone." "Liam, can I tell you something?" "Always. These 4 years have been the best of my life. Even considering you lost Robbie, the house, the job, everything you had before, especially because of that. Everything I lost brought me to you. Grace, can I ask you a question that might sound strange?" "You can. If you could go back in time and prevent Robbie's death, would you do it?" Grace thought carefully before answering. "That's an impossible question, Liam." "Why?" "Because loving Robbie was part of who I became, and who I became is who you love. If I changed the past, maybe I wouldn't be the same person anymore. And if you were a different person, maybe I wouldn't fall in love with you." "Exactly. Our love exists because our histories brought us to this exact point. So, you wouldn't change anything?" "I would change the suffering I went through, but not the lessons I learned from it." That same day, they received an unexpected visit. It was a man about 40, well-dressed, with a nervous expression. "Excuse the intrusion. My name is Richard. Richard O'Connell." Grace turned pale. "O'Connell? I'm Robbie's brother. Your first husband's brother." Grace immediately sat up, clearly in shock. "What do you want?" Liam asked, standing protectively beside Grace. "I want to apologize." "Apologies? For what?" Grace asked in a weak voice. "For how our family treated you after my brother's death. It was unfair, cruel, and completely wrong." "Why are you saying this now, after 4 years?" "Because my daughter is the same age you were when you lost Robbie, and imagining her going through what you went through made me realize the wickedness of what we did." Grace started crying silently. Liam sat next to her and took her hand. "Richard, thank you for coming here, but Grace doesn't need to relive that suffering." "I know, and I didn't come here to reopen wounds. I came to close them." Richard took an envelope from his pocket. "Grace, this belongs to you." "What is it?" "Letters Robbie wrote to you but never had the courage to deliver. I found them in his room when we cleaned out my parents' house." Grace took the envelope with trembling hands. Can I read them later?" "Of course." "Grace, is there anything else?" "Robbie left some money saved up. Not much, but some. Our family used it for the funeral and other expenses, but a little was left over. I want to give it back to you." "It's not necessary." "Yes, it is. It was yours, by right." Richard handed over another envelope, this one containing money. "Richard," Grace said, her voice firmer now, "thank you for coming here. This means a lot to me." "Grace, can I say one more thing?" "You can." "Robbie would be happy to know you found a good man who cares for you." "How can you be sure?" "Because in the letters, he writes that his biggest worry was you being left alone. He wanted you to be happy, even if it was without him." After Richard left, Grace and Liam remained silent for long minutes. "Do you want to read the letters?" Liam asked. "I do, but I don't know if I should." "Why?" "Because they might stir up things that are already settled in my heart." "Grace, if you don't want to read them, you can keep them or even destroy them. There's no obligation. What do you think I should do?" "I think you should do what your heart tells you. Can I read them with you beside me?" "If you want to." "Of course." Grace opened the envelope. There were 3 letters, each marked with different dates. The first letter was dated a few months before Robbie's death. "My dearest Grace, today marks 5 years of our marriage, and I couldn't tell you in person how much you mean to me. I'm afraid that if I say everything I feel, you'll realize how lucky I am to have you and decide to look for someone better. You made me a better man. Before I met you, I only lived for myself. With you, I learned that living for someone else is much more rewarding. If one day I'm not here, I want you to know that every day by your side was worth a lifetime of happiness. With all my love, Robbie." Grace cried as she read the letter. Liam put his arm around her. "Do you want to stop?" "No, I want to continue. The second letter was from a few weeks before the accident. Grace, you asked today why I've been distant lately. I didn't have the courage to tell you the truth, but I need to put it on paper. I'm scared. Scared of losing you. Scared of not being enough for you. Scared that our problems having children are my fault. You are the strongest person I know. If something happens to me, I know you will find a way to be happy, and I want that for you, even if it hurts to imagine you with someone else. Promise me that if I'm no longer here, you will seek happiness. Promise me you won't spend your life alone because of me. I love you more than my own life, Robbie. Liam, Grace said. Her voice choked. He knew. In some way, he knew something might happen, or perhaps he knew that life is fragile and wanted to make sure you would be okay. The third letter was from the week of the accident. My love, if you are reading this letter, it means I couldn't deliver it to you in person. I hope it's because I got too nervous, not for any other reason. Grace, you lit up my life in a way I never thought possible. Every morning waking up next to you was a blessing. Every night sleeping knowing you loved me was a miracle. If for some reason I can no longer be with you, I want you to know a few things. 1. You are the most wonderful woman who ever lived. 2. Any man would be fortunate to have your love. 3. You deserve to be happy forever. 4. Don't blame yourself for moving on. 5. Love again when you are ready. You have so much love to give that it would be selfish of me to want you to keep it all just for my memory. Find someone who makes you smile the way I tried to. Find someone who values you the way I tried to value you. Find someone who loves you the way I loved you. And when you find that person, don't feel guilty. Feel grateful for having the capacity to love in life. Forever yours, Robbie. Grace finished reading the letter through sobs. Liam was also moved. Grace, did you see what Robbie wrote? I saw it. He practically described our relationship, as if he knew you were going to find someone who would love you exactly like that. Liam, can I confess something? Always. For a long time, I felt guilty for loving you, as if I were betraying Robbie. And now I realize that loving you is the way to honor what Robbie wanted for me, which was for me to be happy, to love again, not to waste my capacity for love. Liam took Grace's face in his hands. Grace, you didn't betray anyone. You honored Robbie's love by being a person capable of loving again. And Robbie is not an obstacle between us. Robbie is part of your history, and your history is part of what makes you the extraordinary woman I fell in love with. That night, for the first time in their marriage, Grace felt completely free to love Liam without reservations or guilt. 5 years after the wedding, Grace was pregnant again. This time it was a boy, and they decided to name him Liam Robert. Grace, I'm thinking about something. About what? About how our life completely changed since that day in the church. It changed for the better. It changed to perfection. Liam, can I say something that might sound philosophical? You can. I think sometimes bad things happen to lead us to good things. How so? If Robbie hadn't passed away, I never would have lost the house. If I hadn't lost the house, I never would have ended up in the boarding house. If I wasn't in the boarding house, I never would have gone into the church to shelter from the rain. And if I hadn't gone into the church, we never would have met. Exactly. And if Chelsea hadn't run away, you never would have needed comfort. So, you think everything happened as it should have happened? I think everything happened as it had to happen to lead us to each other. Grace, do you believe in fate? I don't know if I believe in fate, but I believe that some people are meant to be together and the universe finds a way to unite them. Even if that way is painful? Especially if it's painful. The best things in life come at some kind of sacrifice. On their 6th wedding anniversary, Liam prepared a surprise for Grace. He had organized a vow renewal ceremony, but this time with a completely different meaning. Grace, I know we've been legally married for 6 years, but I want to marry you again. Why? Because when we got married the first time, it was out of desperation and convenience. Now I want to marry you for love. Liam, we already love each other. We don't need another ceremony. Yes, we do. I want to make true vows to you. Vows based on what I've learned about you in these 6 years. The ceremony was in the same church where they met, but this time, the atmosphere was completely different. There were only the closest people. Mrs. Mitchell, Marissa, Sister Teresa from the school, some of Grace's students, the foundation staff, and the children, Hope and Liam Robert. Father Michael, now older but still lucid, presided over the ceremony. Liam and Grace are here today to renew vows they made 6 years ago under very different circumstances. How do you feel about it? Liam spoke first. Father Michael, 6 years ago, I was a broken man who didn't know what true love was. Today, I am a fulfilled man who learned that love is built day after day through small acts of kindness, respect, and dedication. And you, Grace? 6 years ago, I was a desperate woman who agreed to marry a stranger because I had no alternative. Today, I am a complete woman who chooses to renew her vows with the best man I have ever known. Then let's move on to the new vows, Liam. Liam looked into Grace's eyes and said, Grace, I promise to love you, not only in happy times but especially in difficult times. I promise to respect your history and honor your first experience of love. I promise to be a partner in all your dreams and a support in all your difficulties. I promise to build a family with you based on love, respect, and generosity. And I promise that until my last day, I will strive to deserve the extraordinary love you give me. Grace, already crying, responded, Liam, I promise to love you with the same intensity with which I love our most precious memories. I promise to be a partner in the construction of your dreams and a strength in your moments of weakness. I promise that our love will always be based on the total honesty we promised each other. I promise to raise our children with the values we learned together: generosity, compassion, and gratitude. And I promise that I will never forget that you saved me when I needed it most, and that I will spend the rest of my life trying to reciprocate that love. After the vows, little Hope approached with a question. Dad, are you more married now? Liam laughed and replied, Not more married, darling, just happier. Mom, why are you crying if you're happy? Because sometimes, my darling, we get so happy that our hearts overflow through our eyes. 10 years after the original wedding, Liam and Grace were sitting in the house garden, watching their children play. Hope was 8, and Liam Robert was 3. Grace, remember what you told me on the first day about how no one should be alone? I remember. Did you know then that you were saving my life? No. I thought I was just being polite to someone who was suffering. But you saved my life, and I saved yours. You saved more than my life, Liam. You saved my soul. How so? Before I met you, I was just surviving. You taught me to live again. And you taught me that true love isn't blind passion. It's the daily choice to put the other person's happiness first. Liam, if we could send a message to ourselves 10 years ago, what would we say? I would say not to be afraid, that the best things in life sometimes come disguised as tragedy. And I would say, it's worth taking risks when your heart tells you to. Grace, can I ask you a question I've been asking myself for years? You can. What would have happened if you hadn't entered that church that day? I probably would have continued living in the boarding house. Maybe found a simple job. Survived. Just survived? Just survived. And you? I probably would have spent years trying to understand why Chelsea abandoned me, maybe even tried to win her back. And would I have been happy? Never, because I wouldn't have known what true happiness is. So, it was a good thing she ran away? It was the best thing she could have done for me, even if she didn't know it. Hope ran up. Mum, Dad, Liam Robert is saying you met when Mum was a vagrant. Is that true? Grace and Liam looked at each other, smiling. Hope, Grace said, when I met your dad, I was going through a very difficult time in my life. I had no home, no job, no family. And Dad helped you? Dad saved me, gave me a home, a family, and most importantly, gave me love. And did Mum save Dad too? The girl asked. Liam replied, Mum saved me in a way she doesn't even realize. She taught me what real love is. So, they saved each other. Exactly, Grace and Liam said in unison. Liam Robert, 3, also approached. Dad and Mum, tell the story of how you met. It was a story the children loved to hear, and one Grace and Liam loved to tell, discovering new details and meanings each time. Once upon a time, Grace began. There was a very sad man who was abandoned on his wedding day, and a very lonely woman who entered a church to shelter from the rain. Liam continued. And when they looked at each other, said Hope, who knew the story by heart, they knew they were going to take care of each other forever. That's right, my darling, Grace said, hugging the girl. And did they live happily ever after? Liam Robert asked. No, son, Liam replied. We don't live happily ever after. The children looked confused. We live happily one day at a time, Liam explained. And every day we choose to be happy together again. Is that different? Hope asked. It's better, Grace replied, because happily ever after is the stuff of fairy tales. Happily one day at a time is the stuff of true love. That night, after putting the children to bed, Grace and Liam sat on the porch contemplating the stars, as they had done almost every night for 10 years. Liam, do you regret anything in these 10 years? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Not even the difficulties we went through? especially the difficulties. They taught us that our love is strong enough to overcome anything. And the losses, the company, the money, the social status? Grace, I gained a family, a purpose, and the most incredible woman in the world. How can I regret losing things that didn't make me happy? And I gained everything I ever wanted. A husband who loves me, wonderful children, and a job that makes a difference. Grace, can I say what the most incredible part of our whole story is? What is it? That it started with two broken people who helped each other rebuild and became the most beautiful love story I know. And you know what the most incredible part is for me? What? That our story proves that true love can be born from the most improbable circumstances, and that sometimes the best decisions are made for the worst reasons, and that two people who commit to honesty and mutual respect can build anything together. Grace, yes, thank you for entering that church. Thank you for letting me stay. I love you. I love you too. And so, under the stars in the garden of the house they built together, Grace and Liam continued writing their love story one day at a time, knowing that the best of happy endings is the one that is rebuilt with every sunrise. End of story. And now we want to hear from you. What did you think of this incredible story of love and overcoming? Liam and Grace proved that true love can be born from the most unexpected situations. Leave in the comments the part that moved you the most, and if you believe that fate can unite two people through adversity. Don't forget to leave your like and subscribe to the channel, so you don't miss other exciting stories like this. Your participation is fundamental for us to continue bringing quality content.